Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kassandra and I'm going to take you through this slow flow yoga for flexibility practice with special emphasis on really targeting our hips, hamstrings, as well as our lower back. This is pretty much my daily home practice. So the sequence I'm going to take you through is the sequence of poses that I tend to do the most often. It can be done at any time of the day, so this makes for a great morning yoga practice. You can also do it towards the end of the day to unwind and get ready for bed, to really relax fully and stretch everything out. Definitely best suited for intermediate students, and I'm not using any props. If you have props at home, you can always grab them in case you need them. Lucy is going to be joining us, I believe, for this class. And yeah, we're moving slowly. There's not a lot of strength required in this practice. We're really just going to try to improve our flexibility overall and to really tune in. So let's begin child's pose. We'll do a wide-legged variation of child's pose. And even though this is a practice specifically or mainly targeting hips and hamstrings, I am still going to add some poses for your shoulders and your upper back so that we're not neglecting those areas of the body. But for now, begin by just pressing your hips back towards your heels. Get your knees as wide as you would like them to. With your arms reaching out in front of you, still shrug your shoulders away from your ears. And just let yourself settle here. You'll have to pay particular attention to your breath in this practice throughout the entire time on your mat. I want your breathing to be easy. So in and out through the nose, not restricted in any way, maintaining slow, steady breath. And when we go deep into some poses and really work on flexibility, if things get too intense, people tend to hold their breath or breathe in a really short, shallow way. So if you notice this happening to you, it means you're going too far into the pose and need to back out. So just take 3 more breaths here. And let's start to lift ourselves up. Tabletop stance. And you can step your right foot forward between your palms to the top of the mat, finding this variation of a low lunge. You can keep your hands either on those blocks or just down on the mat. My knees on top of my ankle. And I'm just rolling my shoulders back, down and away from the ears. Letting gravity pull those hips down. And you can start bringing your hands up to your thigh, just so you're pushing yourself up. And this might be too intense for some of you. If you feel this like pinching or compression in your lower back, just keep your hands down. Otherwise, what I like to do, I just clasp my hands and I kind of just push against my thigh as I lift my chest up. So there's a bit of a back bend, really not forcing it. And now push into your right heel so you can lift your hips up a little bit higher, and you're going to bring that left foot over towards the long edge of your mat. So my hips and my shoulders are now facing over towards the left side of my mat in a side low lunge. You bend into your right knee and use your right hand to push that thigh open. Lots of sensation in a pose like this one. So stay with your breath. Push down into your heel to lift back up. And now pivoting forward once more, You can bring that heel to where it was and go ahead and straighten that right leg. Coming into Ardha Hanumanasana, your half splits. You're welcome to stay up nice and high. My favorite way to do this pose is to sit on my heel and to fold on down. And I'm making this a passive forward fold, meaning I'm letting my spine round. I'm not pushing, I'm not pulling. Just checking in to see how the hamstrings are feeling. Three more breaths here. Even soften through your jaw. And now from here, just go ahead and lift on up. And we're going to sit just on the outside of our heel, or sorry, to the inside of our heel. So I now have both thighs parallel to the longer edges of the mat. This is your half saddle pose. I have my calf to the outside here, and the top of my left foot is flat to the mat. I'm just going to shift forward a little bit here so I stay in the frame. And you can just lift your hips up, tuck your pelvis under, and then lean back. So getting that thigh stretch here, and you might stay up nice and high, or you can start walking your hands back behind you, coming into any variation of a half saddle pose. You might be more comfortable with your right foot flat on the floor. It can be out straight. Doesn't really matter. We're mainly focusing on our left thigh here. Keep a nice lift through your heart. And if you were leaning back, go ahead and walk your hands back in, come on up, and we're coming back into our low lunge. So bending into that right knee, into our first downward facing dog. So plant the palms, tuck the back toes under, and step your right foot all the way up and back. So if this is your first downward dog of the day, you can paddle out through your legs and your feet a little bit here. Don't worry about having your legs super straight or having your heels to the mat. Sticking with the right side, we're going to reach our right leg up to the sky, bend your right knee, open up your right hip. You can kind of lean it over here. Coming into our pigeon pose, let's bring our right knee behind our right wrist. Stretch that back leg further behind you. And try to even out your pelvis here. I like to do a back bend before I fold. So pushing myself against my leg or just pushing against the floor. Think of lifting up through your heart. Still pushing that left hip down. And when you're ready, we fold forward, lifting out of our lower back. And you can always prop yourself up here with your blocks, or even just supporting yourself with your forearms or melting on down. So this is our deep stretch, slow flow practice. Again, always come back to the rhythm of your breath as a way to check in and see if maybe you've gone too far into the stretches, into the poses. When we practice yoga, we're not doing it because we have something to prove. This is not meant to be an ego-based practice. We're trying to find a lot of self-awareness and self-acceptance. This is really just information you're gaining about your body. And we don't have to judge it. We don't have to make it good. We don't have to make it bad. We don't have to make it anything. And just stay with it for 3 more breaths. And you can start to lift yourself up back to tabletop pose. Just any little movements to release that intense hip opener. And before we go and repeat this sequence over on the left side, we're going to take a little heart opening pose. So coming into puppy, walk your hands out, keep your hips up nice and high, and melt on down. So I used to do this pose with my forehead down to the mat in this way. Lately, I've actually really been enjoying the variation of bringing my chin to the mat. Please know it's super intense. If it's not appropriate for you, it can be like too much basically for the back of your neck. So much safer version is to just bring your forehead to the mat. But if you want, you can do this variation as well. We're trying to melt our chest to the floor, stretching through the shoulders. Just a few more breaths here. Sliding forward into Sphinx. Roll your shoulders back. Push into the tops of your feet. And let's press back, tabletop pose, so that we can find our low lunge on the second side. Left foot steps forward to the top of the mat. You're framing that front foot with both palms. Melting your hips forward and down, rolling your shoulders down and away from your ears. And you might choose to stay in this variation, or you can walk your hands onto that thigh so that you have something to push against and support yourself with as you add that little back bend, lifting up through your heart. And keep pushing your hands into your thigh to lift your hips up into our side low lunge. My right foot is gonna pivot so that it's now over towards the left side of my mat. And I'm gonna bend generously into my left knee, using my left hand to push it open a little bit wider. You can have your right hand to your hip here. Sinking your hips down. Straighten your left leg. Frame that front foot again so you're facing forward. We're coming into our half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Either holding here with your hips up nice and high, or letting your hips come back down onto that right heel and folding forward. So I'm making this a passive forward fold again. So try to release expectations on how you think your body should be, or what you should be able to do, or how a pose should feel. Can you just meet yourself where you are and really feel good about it? And we'll start to lift ourselves up. And setting up for half saddle pose on this side. So I'm just gonna move, this cat first, and then I'm gonna move my hips off. So I'm no longer sitting on my right heel, I'm just to the inside of my heel. And I have my calf kind of on the outside so I can really keep both sit bones anchored and down. You're really in the way. You're very cute, but you're in the way. And then keep the top of your right foot planted on the mat, and you can lift your hips up, tuck your tailbone under, and then melt it down. So you're really getting that thigh stretch here, making sure your thigh bones are parallel, not opening out or turning in. And then you can ease your way back. And also try not to let that knee lift off the mat. Keep it pressing down. You can do this with your legs straight or your knee bent. Totally normal for one side to feel quite different from the other. It's not a lot of personal space and personal boundaries with these girls. These are my foster cats. They're available for adoption if anyone's interested. You need to move. Okay, let's lift ourselves up here. We need to come back into our low lunge. So you can bend into that front knee, shift yourself forward, move these guys out of the way, sorry. And then into our downward facing dog. So plant the palms and step your left foot back. Press your chest towards your thighs. Really stretch it out. Notice if there's a bit more room here the second time around. And this time our left leg will reach up to the sky. Bend your left knee, open up your hip. And find your pigeon pose. Left knee goes behind your wrist. Square off the hips so you're not leaning on one side more than the other, and we'll find a back bend again here first. So I like to either prop myself up just pushing on my leg. I get a little bit more leverage this way. And try to get this just as much in your mid back and upper back as your lower back. I know that's hard. And let's fold down to any variation of this pose that is appropriate for your body at this time. Use as little effort and strength as you can here. Three more breaths. And you can start lifting your way back up. Tabletop pose, just stretch out that hip and that leg, however feels best to you. And we're gonna redo that same little sequence of poses, coming into puppy and then sphinx, just so we're not neglecting our upper body. So hips stay over your knees, walk your hands out, and either bring your chin or your forehead to the ground. Into your sphinx pose, sliding onto your belly. And maybe you'll do seal this time around, so you're lifting your elbows off the ground. I like to kind of melt my chest down, so instead of pushing up, I kind of just let my shoulders or my shoulder blades squeeze behind me. And let's release. Come to take a seat, and we'll come into a straddle forward fold. So you can open up your legs nice and wide. And coming into a side bend first, you can reach your left arm up and over. Roll that left shoulder back. So don't worry about how low you're getting here. Really just try to keep that shoulder rotating. And we'll switch sides. Right arm stretches up and over. Coming on up, this time you're facing over towards your right leg and fold. Trying to bring head to knee, still pushing down into that left sit bone. Inhale to center, switch sides, don't go under my mat. And over to the left. Gosh, you guys are troublemakers today. Coming back up and through to center, and we'll just fold on forward. And again, I'm making this a passive fold. I'm letting my spine round. I want gravity to do most of the work for me here. Three more breaths. And walk your hands in. You can use your hands to help bend your knees and bring your legs in towards one another here. And we're gonna find our way back into a downward facing dog. So facing towards the front of the mat and step it out. So let's reach our right leg up to the sky again. You can either keep it straight, or if you'd like, you can bend through that knee and open up through your hip. Into our low lunge, we're gonna add a quad stretch this time. So as you bring your back knee down to the mat, you're gonna circle your right hand up and back, grab a hold of the left foot as you pull it in. And I really want you to try not to lift your hips up. I want you to keep your hips down and pull your heel in towards you. All right, you can release the hold of that back foot, and if you'd like, we're coming back either into half splits, or you can go into your full splits. Now, full splits for me is like, it's a hard pose, okay? So go as deep as you can into it. It doesn't need to be perfect to be worthwhile. So we can let go of expectation, let go of judgment. And now, something I like to do when I'm in this splits pose, instead of keeping my weight centered, if you'd like, you can bring both hands to the inside of that right leg and just keep walking yourself over until you can let your hips come down, and then it becomes a lot easier to hold this shape. You can just support yourself with your forearms. Three more breaths. And if you're doing what I'm doing here, you need to ease your way out. And bend into that front knee. Downward facing dog. Second side, left leg rises, bend your left knee, open up your hip into your low lunge, and we'll add a quad stretch. Left arm reaches forward, up and back to catch a hold of the foot and to pull your right heel in. Really try to keep your hips down low here. And let's release that back foot into your half or full splits. So I'm just going to take a few breaths in the traditional first variation here. And then if you'd like, both hands can come to the inside of that left leg, and you're just rocking forward so that you can rest on your forearms. Different version of working the pose. And go ahead and lift yourself back up. Coming out of this pose, nice and slow, our last downward facing dog. Stretch it out. And let's release. Come down onto your back. It should feel nice to just pull your knees in towards your belly here. And if you'd like, you can come into Happy Baby and Nanda Balasana. And bring your feet flat to the floor. Just do a little windshield wiper motion with your knees, so dropping them from side to side. And whenever you're ready, stretch out Shavasana. A very well-deserved rest after that deep stretch, flexibility practice. Really feeling the effects as it lands in your body. Closing your eyes and giving yourself this gift of full body relaxation, where all you need to do is stay present, to just observe and to let go for a few minutes here. Deepen your breath. We're waking ourselves up nice and slow. A little movement through your hands, your feet. Maybe stretch your arms up overhead. Really reaching out. And you can turn to one side, push your hands into the floor to lift on up, and just come to take a seat. Closing your eyes, hands come together at the heart, Anjali Mudra. Really imagine yourself just showering yourself with gratitude, being proud, really celebrating your body, regardless of how easy or how challenging this class may have been. You've made it to the end. So really thanking yourself in this moment. And we'll chant Om together one time. Let's inhale to chant. Breathe in. Thank you so very much, everyone, for doing this intermediate deep stretch yoga practice for your hips, hamstrings, and lower back. I certainly felt it. I would love to know how this one went for you. Leave me a comment down below. Subscribe if you don't already, and hopefully we'll practice again together very soon.